Welcome back to News Center. I'm Archana Solanki. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the Semicon India Summit in Gujarat's Gandhinagar today. The event is aimed at boosting India's chip design innovation. Day one of the Semicon Summit also saw major players like Micron and AMD reiterate investment commitments made during the Prime Minister's trip to the United States last month. Now, speaking at the inaugural event, Prime Minister Modi said that government will continue to incentivize chip makers. He added that the semiconductor industry believes in the country's vast talent pool. Here's Minister Ashwini Vaishnaw in conversation with Yash Jain.
What is the larger vision which the government is working with as far as the semiconductor sector of India is concerned? If you could really explain to us this larger vision with some numbers, it would be really great.
See, semiconductor is a foundational industry. Semiconductors are used practically everywhere, right? In the fridge, TV, car, aeroplane, train, practically everything.
Correct.
So it's very important for India to develop this industry. And Prime Minister Modi ji's vision is to create a comprehensive ecosystem in which from design to components to the supply ecosystem of chemicals and gases to fab to the downstream industries like electronics, telecom. All these industries should have a good setup in the country. That's the vision with which we are working, and we have had good success. As Honorable Prime Minister today mentioned, electronics industry was just about $30 billion 10 years ago. Today it has already crossed $100 billion. Mobile phone, we have become from an importer to an exporter. Same is the case which will happen in semiconductor also. Telecom also, we have been importers. Now we have started exporting telecom equipment.
Correct.
Right? It's a very sustained, very step-by-step, very methodical way of working.
Okay. I just want a little honest answer from you here. Do you think India so far, we spoke about how there were multiple attempts in the past also to bring the semiconductor industry and investors in India. Do you think multiple number of times in the past we've missed this bus, and because of which there's a lot to catch up as far as global peers are concerned?
See, today we are placed in a very, very important position of strength. Why? First, very strong talent base. And increasingly we are working to improve this talent base. We have tied up with 104 universities, including Purdue University. You must meet the Purdue guys. This response, the speed at which the India Semiconductor Mission under Prime Minister Modi ji's leadership has delivered is phenomenal. They are amazed. Second, the focus on ecosystem. Not just setting up the fab, but working on practically everything that goes into making it successful. Take the case of Micron. Within few weeks of getting their approval letter, land was allocated to them, permits have been given. They've already started working on the land. They'll soon start construction. So we are making sure that every part of the activity is supported by the government. Third, because our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji has conducted the foreign policy of the country in a very independent way, today there is huge trust in the world on India. So India has emerged as a trusted supply chain partner for semiconductors. We have already signed 2 memorandums of cooperation with US and Japan.
Correct.
Right? It's not something small. US and Japan agreeing to jointly develop technologies with India. That's phenomenal.
Correct.
It's a very important change. So we feel that yes, we will succeed. The first step has already happened. Second step of applied material has happened, and today we are very happy to share with you that AMD has announced $400 million investment in Bengaluru for further expanding their R&D center.
The R&D center. You've sort of cued me to my next question. Of course, Micron happened. That's where it all started, and that was the bang moment for India as far as semiconductors is concerned. Then it went to applied materials and now AMD today. By the end of current year, at this pace, at least as far as interest or signing of MOUs is concerned, how many global companies do you see, expressing their interest to come to India?
Lots of companies are discussing with us, quite a few of them, and we hope that in the coming 12 months, we should be able to have 2 more proposals which are signed and work started.
Okay, could you sort of delve into the names? I mean, which are these companies, just to understand the size and stature of these companies?
Big size, big stature, very strong companies with good track record.
And these are global ones.
Well, let me not give any names.
Okay, I want to talk to you something about the domestic interest as well. Of course, Tatas have expressed interest in Chandrasekaran talking about the semiconductor manufacturing part of it. Also, as far as Vedanta is concerned, they are exploring their options. On the domestic side, where all is this interest coming from? Which all are the other conglomerates which are also exploring their options? And how much, what is the quantum of, or what is the quality of interest that you see from the domestic side?
Very sincere interest. See, the electronics industry is a very big consumer of semiconductors.
Correct.
And that industry is growing at, as Prime Minister said, like Moore's law, it is growing, right? It's huge growth. It's a exponential growth which is happening. That's a big consumer of electronics. Lots of manufacturing activity happening in a variety of the other sectors, defense sector, train, railway sector. Airline engines will be manufactured here in India. Lots and lots of activity going on the manufacturing side. All of these are good consumers of electronics. So we are seeing interest from a variety of players. Most of them are very sincere industries, very focused on quality, very focused on delivery.
How many domestic names? Just like you spoke about the international one?
No, I shouldn't be saying any names.
Okay. As far as Micron is concerned, of course, they've announced their plan. When do you expect Micron to start manufacturing? And by when do you see that first chip coming out of from Micron's side?
So the first made in India chip should be delivered by December 24 from Micron's plant.
One concern on Micron was also the partial ban which China had put on them, restricting their use in military applications. Did that ban sort of concern India also? Was there a thought which was given to that if some country has done something like that, what was our thought on the whole matter?
That's a matter on which Micron should comment, not us.
Okay. As far as India's semiconductor imports are concerned, sir, what is the size of imports that we do as of today? And you spoke about the vision for the next 5 years, 8 years, 10 years. How do you see the size reducing, if you could quantify that? Take us through that journey.
See, semiconductor requirement, semiconductor market in the country, in India, will be of the order of $100 billion in coming 4 to 5 years.
Correct.
So that much capability we have to develop in our country. Today, the global supply chain is very complex. No country can manufacture everything. There will be variety of supply chain combinations. We should develop a niche in which we have biggest strength. Our biggest strength is our talent. So we should actually take up work where the talent can be best put to use. That's the way we are working.
Okay. Just if you could give us some numbers in terms of the import figures for today for the semiconductors, and how do you see that reducing, sir?
It's of the order of 20 billion US. And I think this will significantly reduce as we go forward.
Okay. One last question, sir. As far as the investments that we've heard of are concerned as of now, they're more into testing, packaging. When do we see more investments coming on the designing, manufacturing side, in your understanding?
See, ATMP is a very complex manufacturing process.
Correct.
Unlike other industries where testing and packaging has its own meaning, ATMP in terms of semiconductor is a very, very complex process. I can explain it with the help of a wafer if you would like to.
Yeah, I would love to.
So, see, this is a wafer, right?
Correct.
Chips are designed on it, fabricated on it, using very, 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 very fine process.
Correct.
If you look at the tip of the nail, the plasma which is used to etch the chips on it will be millions of times finer compared to this.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Now these chips which are etched on the fabricated on the wafer have to be taken out in a very complex process.
Okay.
These very fine nano size chips which cannot be seen with naked eyes will have to be put into a chip which can be then put in a circuit.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
That is the process of ATMP. So these very fine things are extracted in a very complex process.
And then
Then around that, the entire system is built. It's like this chip can have sometimes wiring which goes all the way up to 80 kilometers. 80-kilometer wiring in the small chip.
very difficult to even imagine.
Imagine a 10-story building.
Correct.
A 10-story building having different people living at different floors.
Correct.
Imagine the plumbing of that. Imagine the wiring of that. Imagine the lift of that. Imagine the staircase of that.
Absolutely.
That kind of complexity is done in this package, in this chip. That is packaging. That is ATMP.
That is ATMP.
Very complex process.
Correct.
So we are starting with ATMP in the Micron plant, where these chips will be, this kind of chip will be manufactured.
Correct.
And as we go, as the ecosystem develops, there are many companies which are coming along with Micron, right? Because lots of complex gases and chemicals and other things are there.
Correct.
As that ecosystem develops, we'll see many more players who don't have to do so much groundwork before they come.
Okay. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Pleasure, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
All right, it's time for a short break. Up next, Supreme Court pulls up the union government over regulating cryptocurrencies, saying it's unfortunate that there's no law or an expert agency to handle criminal cases. More details when we return.